Hello, 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 and happy day. Thank you for being here for day 2 of this engagement. Don't be a fool in your relationships. I'm so pleased that you're here. Absolutely pleased. And before we get started, I realized that I didn't open my chat, so I'm going to do it right now because I want to talk to you. I want to hear what you have to say. And I am just so pleased that all of you are here. So let's just take a moment and really think about relationships. We all have them. We're all involved in a relationship in some form or another. It could be the relationship with your partner, the relationship with your parents, the relationship with a significant person, the relationship with your children. We are all involved in relationships. And just as you were coming in today, you heard, of course, the song again by Tina Turner. Don't be a fool. Well, we played it because the theme is don't be a fool in your relationship. And what she's talking about is being foolish in her relationship. And we've chosen that version because that's the 80s version. In the 60s version, when you listen to it, her tone is very sad. The lyrics are very, same lyrics, but they're produced in a downtrodden way, and it's very slow. In the 80s version, there's an exuberance in her voice, there's a power in her voice. And what is clearly communicated when you compare the two is that there's been a change. She has released whatever she was holding on to in relationship. So when she gave us that rendition in the 80s, same words, same song, totally different energy, totally different feeling tone. And that's what happens to us when we let go of that which we no longer need in terms of relationship. All of that unconsciousness that's been helping us, or not helping us, that's been guiding us, leading us to the decisions that we make and how we are living. And so, many of you looking right now who are live with me, and those of you that will be looking at this on the replay, you may be thinking, no, my relationships are fine. I'm really good. And yet you're quietly suffering inside. You're quietly wanting to make a difference. And I just want you to know that when you make the choice to have different, better, more, when you decide that you are going to make self-honoring choices, I want you to we're going to remind you what self-honoring choices mean. When you make the choice, the self-honoring choice, to love yourself, to honor yourself, to do what's necessary in the excavation examination and releasing, so that you can release the familiar and societal conditioning, you are making a self-honoring choice. And that self-honoring choice includes, what does it say right here? Adding value. It contributes to your long-term self-respect, regard, and esteem. That's what happens when you make self-honoring choices. So let's circle back. In the song that you were listening to when you came into the room, a self-honoring choice had to be made. I want different. I want better. I want more. And then when she presents herself some 20 years differently, same song, same lyrics, totally different energy. And that song sold more copies than the others combined prior because she was in her liberation, her freedom. So every communication that I have with you, every communication that comes from Real Truth International is a communication for your liberation. Because we have only one objective. And that is objective is for your soul freedom. SOLE and SUL. And it's not something we often talk about. We are usually talking about things on a very topical, surface level. But let me share how important relationships are and how important it is for you. Because when you do it, you're giving not only the courage of someone else to do it, and by the way, I hope you brought 2 friends today. If you haven't, bring those 2 friends tomorrow and do it. Act as if your life depends on it, because it does. Because it's so important for you to be the optimum version of you starting today. Not tomorrow, it is today. And what that looks like is you letting go of the familial and societal conditioning that has yet to allow you to live your possibility. Right now, as I am talking to you, as we're engaging, as my face is smiling, my heart is smiling, 80% of the people that are in relationships say that they are dissatisfied, unhappy, or unfulfilled. 80% of people in relationships. That's a huge number to say. In relationships, 80%. And then what we know is that 1 out of 2 women globally, I'm going to repeat that, 1 out of 2 women have experienced violence in a relationship. So if we don't really look at how we're having relationships, there is something wrong. If you're one of the 80% that are in relationship and unhappy, why? I gather to say it is because you have yet to excavate, examine, and release your familial and societal conditioning. In part, the reason that there is violence in relationships is the same, because it is just passed on. How we have relationships, they're just passed on from one generation to the next. And then the structure in our societal thinking is just passed on. We don't examine it, but you can. And because of what you do for yourself, as I said earlier, you're giving others permission to do the same. And not only that, but you're changing your whole life. You get to be the one. You get to be your own hero. You get to live your life of liberation and freedom. You get to be the most magnificent, splendid aspect of yourself. Okay, I have so much to say, because what I know unequivocally is that when you excavate, examine, and release your familial and societal conditioning, your life is open. You become the most splendid version of yourself, and you keep ascending. And the ascension is so beautiful that sometimes you have to look and go, wow, this is my life now? And pinch yourself, because you feel perpetual happiness, joy, excitement. And the relationships around you are reflecting that perpetually. Not just sometime, all the time. So I want to go into, right now, your love sheets. You got one yesterday. You got one the day before you even joined yesterday. On your love sheet, it gives you the most beautiful opportunity to start fully examining you, right? I'm going to read what it says, and don't think we're not going to go back to the first love sheet you got, but I just want to highlight this one. I received a text message last night, and it said, oh my gosh, reading day 1, she was watching the replay, and it said, looking at the, in essence, she was communicating that the love sheet from yesterday, or should I say the day before you arrived in the course, that the question was so deep for her that what was this love sheet going to be like? So here, Recognizing what you learned and who taught you gives you clarity on how you're currently living in your relationships. It also gives you the prompts on what conclusions are you drawing from those experiences? What conditions are you aware of that's impacting how you have relationships now? And what are you giving your focus to in your relationships now? Prior to these love sheets, have you taken the time to really think about any of that? When your relationship isn't working the way that you want it to work, are you more looking at what the other person is not doing instead of how you have become who you are? Until the love sheet, did you ever ask yourself, who taught you how to have an intimate relationship? Or who seated you in your primary relationships? Had you done that before? The likelihood is not. And if you're someone who has been doing work on yourself and getting an understanding of how you have become who you are, congratulations to you for doing that. And for all of us that it's taken us until the time it takes us to do it, congratulations to you for being here today to make the self-honoring choice to look at your relationships. When you step into the grandeur view, which we'll talk about later, the grandeur view not only looks at how you're having relationships, but it also looks at how you're living the totality of your life. And it brings you freedom and it liberates you. It's amazing what happens in there. And as I said yesterday, everything that I'm sharing with you is everything that I've done. Because for many of you who know a bit of my story, you know that I was a woman who lived haphazardly in her relationships. Sometimes they were good, sometimes they were bad. And then I found myself in a violent relationship. And I was the woman's advocate. I was the champion of women who wouldn't allow men to speak to you unkindly, unharshly, nor would I ever think I would allow someone to speak to me poorly or to demean me in any way. And yet it happened. And then on the other side, you've heard me say this before, upon excavation, examining, and releasing, I was able to call in the most splendid, amazing, dynamic, miraculous, extraordinary, spectacular, I can go on, man, for me. That's only because, like at the song you were listening to, I liberated myself. Same woman. You'll be the same person, only you will be the person that is your possibility. That is the grandeur of you. That is the magnificence of you. Okay, I've just gone on into so many deeper places that I planned today because I am feeling you today. Before we came on, we had a blessing for you. And what I know with all my heart is that we need to examine the way relationships are had and the way we have come to learn relationships. 80% of people unhappy. You just heard me say that. 1 out of 2 people, 1 out of 2 women have experienced violence in a relationship. You just heard me say that. We have to learn how to have relationship. And it all starts with the relationship that we're having with ourselves. Because most of the way we're living in our relationship is completely unconscious, right? It's completely, oh, I see all of you. Thank you. I see you're leaving notes, and I'm saying hi to everybody who's leaving me notes and chats over here. Thank you so much for being here today. I appreciate you being here. I'm so grateful you're making the self-honoring choice. I want to see you again here tomorrow. I want you to continue with us and step into your grandeur. And I promised you 21 minutes, so I want you to understand completely, super duper completely. You have to make a self-honoring choice and choose you. Yes, I said have to. You have to examine your relationships. You have to really understand excavation, then examination. This is the time for you to examine your relationships right now, in part. And when you move into the grandeur, we're going to bring up something so that you really understand what examining your relationships look like. And when you move into your grandeur, then you will even deepen this. So in the EER process, step 2 of the process is examination. That's part of the love sheet that you got in your email. Make sure you do it. Will you change that to the next slide, please? When you examine your familial and societal conditioning, it's the process of conducting a deep investigation to gain knowledge all about you. You've heard me say before, this is all about you. It really is all about you. So on your love sheet that you received in your email, do your deeper dive today. Examine from day 1, day 2. It's kind of confusing because you actually got the first ones before you came into the classroom. So let's just say all of the love sheets that you've gotten thus far, do them. Make the self-honoring choice to do them. Be with you. Give yourself some extra loving. Get some understanding of who you are beyond the conditioning of your familial and societal conditioning, and really look into you. I want to tell you, until you do it, most of what you're doing is unconscious living, even if your life is looking good. I can tell so many stories about people that I work with, that I know, that I observe, that are on the exterior living these very nice lives. But it's because they stay in this box. They will not allow themselves to veer to the right, to the left, to the front, or the back. Because if they leave this box, they have no idea who they are. So they just follow the scripts that life has given them. And yet, okay, if that's the way you want to live, okay. I want to bring up something for you. I want you to hear a dear friend. We've worked together. We've coached together. She's a mother to another. When I went scuba diving for the first time, she held my hand underwater. Her name was Leah. We were in this conversation the other day. And she has been for years championing me when I was doing one-on-one coaching and writing. She's like, you've got to tell the world what you do. Look at what you're doing for people. I want you to just take a peek at the conversation we were having the other day. It was good. It's for you right now.
You said just resonates so deeply for me. Choice. Language is key to retraining our brains and to opening up our hearts, and to know that we have choices, no matter what situation, no matter how dire it might feel. There are choices, and RaShawn is an excellent guide of how to see what those choices are and what options you do have. And to move into loving relationships, to make choices for loving relationships in your life, it starts, and I know this is part of it, is the loving relationship with yourself, but it goes deep into the truth that you're working with here, and in all of your work with Real Truth International. Knowing yourself, being honest with yourself, trusting yourself, honoring yourself, becoming your own authority, being loyal to yourself. All these lead us into self-love. And the shame you mentioned, one of the side effects of shame, and many, and I'll say most, have shame. And all of this tends to lead us toward avoiding ourselves. And this introduction and invitation that you have to 4-day engagement is really a chance to get to know yourself again, to stop avoiding and to come back to you.
Yes, 100%. 100%, that's what it is. And so many, Leah, pretend. And I was one that used to pretend. And I was unconsciously pretending, however, because
Right.
it looked like life was good, right?
Right.
If you were to ask me, do you know yourself? I would say, of course I know myself. That
Right.
wasn't accurate. What I knew was the familial and societal conditioning that I was living in. I
Right.
didn't really know me. And now that I've gotten to know me, oh my gosh. And it's so, I see it all the time. Every person, particularly women, when we work together one on one, or if it's one to many, or if I'm speaking, it's amazing that when a woman starts seeing herself, she just gets a glimpse of that potentiality that's in her, everything changes. And well, two things happen always. One is, oh my God, I want to run to it because I've seen a glimpse of who I can be.
Mm-hmm.
And the other is, oh, I want to, and then they stop themselves
Yeah.
because it's too big, it's too much. And, we've been conditioned to be scared of
Right.
being everything we can be. Don't be scared of being everything you can be. Don't be scared to have a dynamic relationship. You don't have to settle for mediocrity anywhere in your life. You get to have a thriving, growing, nurturing, loving, supporting relationship with yourself, with your partner, in your friendships, in your familiar relationships, in your work relationships. And I'm not saying, and I am saying that because I know it's true. I am not saying that it's some airy fairy impossibility. It can be the actuality of your life when you allow it. So today, after listening to this, after watching me, I want you to do your love sheets. I also want you to bring 2 people that you care about with you tomorrow. Go into the collective, share the one thing, the one insight that you've had from this communication right now, just one thing, and declare to yourself right now. Actually, we'll do it together. I want you to declare with yourself, with me, I choose to make self-honoring choices. And so that you feel this, I'm going to ask you to put your right hand over your heart right now. Do you feel your heart beating? Great. I also like to put my hand right over my belly. Put your hand over your belly too. And now say, if you are desiring this, I choose to make self-honoring choices. And if you're in a place where you can say it out loud, say it out loud. I choose to make self-honoring choices. Say it again on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. I choose to make self-honoring choices. And then the last time, your heart is beating faster now, isn't it? Of course it is. We're going to do it one more time together. 1, 2, 3. I choose to make self-honoring choices. Okay. You've made the declaration to yourself. You're learning how to trust you more. You are building your long-term self-esteem, regard. You are learning how to have relationships that are wholly fulfilling. You are learning how to have a more intimate relationship with yourself. You will step into the grandeur of you. This is your time. Okay, I went slightly over 21 minutes, but I think it was okay, right? Okay. I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all the more comments that are coming in. I'm going to read them. I'm going to be in Facebook later, so say things so that I can comment to you. Oh, I like it. That's right. Make self-honoring choices. Thank you, Margaret. Thank you. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Patty. Thank you, Sylvia. Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Patty. Thank you all. Thank you. You made the self-honoring choice. I'll see you tomorrow. That's a kiss for you. Grab it, put it in your heart, and listen to the lyrics of Tina's song and the energy of it. And then if you have time, go back and listen to the 60s version so you can hear the difference. Everything happens when you make a self-honoring choice. Everything happens when you are liberated. Everything happens when you decide that you are stepping into the grandeur of you. Everything changes. It's all for you. This is all for you. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.